So Michelle, you were saying that you did have something that you could talk about, but I got the idea you weren't sure what it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to graduate next week, and it's really hitting me hard how I don't have my grandmother here anymore. I lost her in the summer, and she was played a very central role in my life growing up, and she's one of what I consider the big four in my life. And you know, she was the first of the big four to die, and it's, you know, while the sadness has never gone away, the realization that she's not going to be here for my graduation is really started kicking in.
So you'd known the loss,
Right.
how close y'all were and how much she meant to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like you'd kind of moved past it until, well, now it's graduation. And she won't be
Yeah.
there.
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on, end of the year things, and a lot of stuff to keep my mind off of it, and just this is like a big life event, big milestone, and she was there for my undergraduate graduation,
Yeah.
and knowing that she's not going to be here for this one, it's going to feel a little less than joyful. I feel like I can't thoroughly enjoy it like I want to. I feel like I need to, or like I should, or deserve, you know.
So again, what has you feeling emotional about it is that there's all these reminders of you're not having her, like events where family are coming together and such, and then just the graduation itself. She was at your undergraduate graduation, she would be at this one.
Yeah. Yes, and she was the glue that bonded us all together, and kind of the North Star. We all traveled to wherever she was, you know. It's like any reunions happened wherever Grandma was. So, and I'm just also afraid that without her, our family ties are gonna just kind of drift away. It's just a big scary time. Moving on, endings, moving on without certain people.
So it seems like it's emotional for you for a number of reasons. One is like a little bit of worry of like what's going to happen to the family without her coming together. And then, of course, the missing her part. And it also seems like there's a part of it for you that's just like, it's about the passage of time.
Because losing her was like a big burst to my bubble, if you will. Like the feeling of always having a cushion, always having a safety net. It's just, I don't know, without her, life just seems so much more raw and real than it was before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, like a while ago you said scary, and I guess that's the why, because she could always catch you, somehow she could make it okay, and now you're thinking, now I've got to go on without that.
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things. Graduation is just another time where I have to like shake my head and remind myself that she's not here. So, I mean, it's been almost a year, but it's events like this coming up that really make it hit home.
So maybe like in between events like this, you could almost get to where you forget that you're on your own.
I can convince myself that she's just somewhere else because she lives away from here. And I, it wasn't like I got to see her every day, but I can always, there are times where, maybe not consciously, but I could convince myself that she was just somewhere else or not. I could always just go see her. And then just, I guess, not having her here, not having that safety net, not having that, I don't know if this is something you can relate to, but there's been certain people in my life who, as long as they were here somewhere on this earth, I could do it, just like knowing they were there. And she was one of those people, and I know I can, it's just, it's just a reminder of how frail life is and how, I don't know. It just makes this, upcoming change from being a student to a professional, it just makes it more anxiety. Have more anxiety and more kind of just fearful of what's out there. Am I going to find a place? Am I going to find a decent job? Am I going to find a place that accepts me for me? Or am I going to get into a situation where I just don't fit?
So it's missing, but it's also, there's this part for you of like, can you do it without her? I gather that a part of you thinks maybe not, because you happen to use the word like you can convince yourself, and I took that to mean like you can convince yourself that you will be okay moving on without her. So, I kind of imagine what you're thinking, and I just want you to tell me if that's really off, but I kind of imagine what you're thinking. It feels very scary to me when I sort of imagine what that's like to think that, is that you're thinking, maybe I can't, well really I can't face these things without her.
Yeah, it's from ever since I can remember, no matter what was going on, no matter what I was doing, whether I was doing something wrong, whether I was doing something right, whatever, no matter what was going on with me, changed my hair, or crazy teenage years, or whatever, I could always go and be just me to Grandma. I could always be, the world could reject me, but I knew I could go to Grandma. So, moving forward, without having her there I just feel a little bit more alone and unsure in myself. So. it's just her being gone, that makes me more raw and more easily affected by all of this too. I mean,
So like the fear of moving forward might not be so strong for you if you still have your grandma.
or maybe it would be, I don't know, it's hard to say.
Sean, I don't have any Kleenex right here. Do you want me to stop and get
No,
you
I'm
some?
fine.
Well, I don't know if your tears were bothering you.
No.
Well, because I interrupted there to kind of restart. Well, one of the things you said that, you know, I mean, because I know you, I kind of know that it probably matters to you, or I imagine it does. But one of the things you said was that, like, what kind of job are you going to find, and is it going to be a job where they accept you as you are, or not? You know, are you going to fit well there or not? And, so I just was going back to that because I was imagining that's what's probably scary about this time now.
Exactly, had the best track record, so.
Yeah. I've had some painful difficulties with that in the past. So it's kind of like you're thinking, well, the evidence is.
Yeah. Sometimes I just feel like a little kid without their security blanket. I'm finally having to grow up. Despite the fact that I am grown up and I have a family of my own and, you know, all of that.
Yeah, so you are, and you know you are, grown up, but at the same time, especially now, it doesn't feel that way. With starting into a job search, starting into those risks without your grandma, it doesn't feel like you're grown up.
Yeah. It's just a lot on top of her loss. And it's hard to pull apart what the bigger issue is, what's feeding what's being affected by what. I guess it doesn't really matter, but maybe just talking about it will help.
And then I get the idea, it kind of makes sense to me that, you know, you'd like this, to not be having these difficulties and hopes, you know, it seemed like you thought, it seemed like where your mind went was, you know, well, what would help when maybe talking about it, but it also seemed like where your mind went was like, if you could sort it all out, if you could know kind of why the different feelings. But you almost seem to tell yourself then, maybe that's not possible.
I don't know that it's not possible. I think it's just trying to find a way out of the feelings that I rationally know I just have to sit through. And I've just been so busy that I haven't really allowed myself to feel her loss and to really process it, I guess. Not process it, but just to feel it. You know, I process the heck out of it and everything else. It's the feeling part that I don't always give myself time for. Because there's just a lot going on and I can't just think about myself. Not that allowing myself to cry about the loss of my grandmother is selfish. It's not what I'm saying. I understand that. It's just there's only so many hours in the day and schedules don't always permit for that. And sometimes the feelings come at a time when the schedule or the circumstances don't allow for it. So I just think I need to pencil in some grieving time. I don't even know if that's possible.
So part of it, you kind of switched, I think, from thinking about, well, you want to figure it out, to, I almost got, like what you're saying is like, well, you've thought about it a lot, but what you haven't been able to give yourself is time to kind of sit with it and let yourself feel bad. And I know some of what your life's like, and so it's always like the next thing that somebody else needs. And so you do those things. And you're thinking, well, part of what you need is some time to sit with it and be sad or be afraid.
Yeah, just sitting here, I was just thinking, I had clients who, one client who was having a hard time choosing to visit her mother, and another client who was going through the same thing with her father, and neither one of them had a grave to visit. They didn't have a place to go to mourn for them. I asked them about how they felt about, like, a memorial rock garden. And I love the idea. And although my grandmother's, there is a grave to go to, it's 5 hours away. That would take a lot of planning and money and time, and I was just thinking that a place for me to go where I can just sit and feel closer to her would be nice.
Well, what's the time? Because we have about 5 minutes to talk now. So it sounds like what you're thinking, it sounds like you kind of like that idea of giving yourself some time to sit and feel what you feel about a loss. And you're thinking, like the suggestion that you made to someone else, that you need a kind of a place to facilitate that, to go for that. And, to to her actual grave is quite a bit of time, so I gather you're thinking maybe you can't give that much. So, sound like you're kind of thinking of maybe doing something of your own suggestion, making a space here nearby somewhere.
So often it comes that what we help our clients with is stuff we should be doing for ourselves.
So I think it maybe the suggestion you gave to others that maybe would be good for you.
And yes, it didn't even occur to me whenever I was saying that to them. It didn't even, not until I was sitting here talking about it with you, that it actually came into my mind that, yeah, well, maybe I should do the same thing.
Yeah.
And actually just talking about doing it, I feel tremendously better.
Oh, cool. So, not that concrete plan yet, but it sounds like you're probably going to. And as you move that way, like you're realizing that helped you feel a lot better already.
Gives me a proactive way of doing what I need to do to take care of myself and therefore take care of my family.
Proactive, so it lets you do something.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about how he said that was, he said it gives you a proactive way to take care of yourself, and then you added, so I can take care of my family. I took that to mean like, it didn't sound okay to you to say proactive thing to do for myself without adding the part that it's also for others.
The others came, thinking of saying that came because so often I'm, you gotta practice what you preach. You need to take care of yourself, and as a caretaker, as a helper,
Mm-hmm.
as a mother, that's a lesson I've had to learn. So it was kind of a way of saying, yeah, I need to take care of myself. And then instead of just saying in my head, so I can take care of others, because I'm already taking care of others.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't changed. What's changed is that I'm not taking care of myself. So not taking care of myself to the degree in which I should. But it was kind of just a reminder of what I tell my clients a lot, which is you can't be the rock if you're Jello. You've got to take care of yourself if you want to be someone else's rock.
Yeah, so it came to your mind because you're used to telling others that, but it sounds like as you're kind of telling yourself that now, it really makes a lot of sense to you. That yeah, you take care of others. That's what you do. And you didn't say it like you're bothered by that at all. That's what you're glad to do. And you also know that to do that well, you have to also take care of you.
Mm-hmm. That's probably why I felt such a relief whenever I said I was going to go and do that Memorial Rock Garden, because it's doing what I need to do to take care of myself. It's and also help me be a more authentic and genuine counselor.
So we'll stop in about a minute, but I was really interested in that last part you said too, about you felt better talking about that you're gonna make the Memorial Rock Garden, because if I got it right, it was kind of like it's because you're thinking, oh, and that's the part I've been missing, the taking care of me part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Well, let's stop there.